Alrighty, so starting us off with the basics here, if you press B on your keyboard, it will open up the building menu. Obviously at the top, you've got all of your individual tabs for all your building pieces and materials. Now, I might have more listed on here than you do if you guys are just starting off in the game, or heck, you could be playing for hours and have never really uncovered this. But essentially, as you play through the game and progress and find blueprints, you will then uncover new recipes that you can craft, whether it's decorations, whether it's building pieces, tier 1, tier 2, you name it. You can go ahead and select an item and then obviously hover over wherever you want to place that item, and it will turn green if you can place it. It will turn red if you can't place it, and if you try to place something that you can't, you'll hear this noise. And that essentially just means you can't place the item where you're trying to place it, even if it might look like the item is green and not red, because that does sometimes happen, and I've had that randomly happen, especially when you're fine-tuning or putting decorations in a small little area inside of your base. But anyways, here, you're going to go ahead and press the left mouse button in order to place that item down, and that's essentially how you would build items. Now, obviously, if you decide later on, let's say we place this foundation, and we no longer want this foundation here, what you can do is you can press B on your keyboard. It does not matter what you select in the building menu. So for instance, we're going to select these stairs, and let's say we want to delete the first foundation. We're going to go ahead and highlight over it, make sure it's there, and we're going to press the middle mouse button, basically the little scroll wheel if you have one. That's what you're going to press in like a button, not scroll it, but press it in, and then it will delete whatever that item is. Also in RuneScape, it's important to note that so far I've been receiving 100% of my materials back for destroying an item. This is really, really handy to know when it comes to placing temporary structures out in the world. If you're going to be placing something down, maybe to just sleep really quick, don't worry about it, or worry about using the resources, because you can just break it all down after you're done sleeping and then get those resources back. With that being said, we're going to go back into the building menu here, and let's talk about a couple of other things. First one, let's say you want to place this foundation right here, but you don't want to be this high level, right? Elevation. You actually want to lower it down. If you press and hold the control option, as the game tells you here, you can actually scroll your middle mouse wheel up or down, and it will bring that foundation all the way down. You can sink it into the ground, you can raise it all the way up, even to the point where it is considered unstable and you can't place it. But it really allows you to fine-tune where you want to place that item. Same thing goes for if you hold the Alt option. If you press and hold Alt and then scroll your wheel, it will bring the item closer to you or away from your character. So again, just really, really awesome quality of life feature here to allow you to fine-tune and place your items exactly where you want them. And now lastly here, when it comes to the basics, we also have snap points. You can see the basic 4 snap points on the foundation that I just placed. They're indicated here with the white little dots on the one I just placed, and then you can see the ones on the new one that is currently in red. You can see the yellow little circles on top of the red. That essentially will tell you what snap points are currently available for those pieces. If you press Y on your keyboard, as you can see in the bottom right hand side, that will actually give you an additional 3 snapping points on each side of your item. Lastly, if you press Y one more time, it basically gets rid of all the snapping points and allows you to freely place building items. Again, this really allows for a lot of customization when it comes to placing items inside of items. As you can see here, this foundation underneath the other foundation, you can lower it, raise it, do all of those things without having to, it to be really finicky about randomly jumping from the place you want to place it to the snapping point. Now, moving on to some other things here, let's talk about in the building menu, you actually have 2 other modes that are kind of hidden off to the left-hand side of your building screen. The first one up is going to be T on your keyboard, or essentially the repair mode. If you go ahead and click the repair mode, if you have the items necessary in your inventory, you can repair the items by walking up to them. You can see the little wrench icon and the pin icon in the center of your screen. If you go ahead and see that, you can see we can press the left click option to repair the item. By pressing the left click, it will go ahead and repair it, and then you can also see and check what exactly the health amount is of that specific building piece. You can see that if I look at the foundation, it says 100%, but if I look at the stairs, it says 74%, and it tells me I'm going to need 1 ashwood log. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and then it will instantly repair that piece. And then the second option below the repair mode brings us to the ghost mode. Now, if you go ahead and click on ghost, ghost mode, what essentially this is going to do is allow you to blueprint out your base build without actually using the materials or placing those specific items. So to give you an example here, let's say we want to add on to my base, but we don't want to use the necessary resources. We're going to go ahead and select the foundation, for instance, make sure our snapping is turned on. As you saw, my snapping was turned off. But let's say I'm just going to want to add this going all the way across. And as you can see, I leave the building menu by pressing B. Now you can see I have this blueprint. These items were not consumed to place it, but it allows you to essentially plan out whatever the build is that you desire without having to use the resources or even having those resources on hand in order to build them. And what's really cool about this is, number one, obviously, if you have friends building with you or on the server playing with you, they can also see your hologrammed out blueprint and then continue to build it exactly how you want it. They can contribute the resources if they have them in their inventory to continue the building piece. And then the second thing that's really cool is you can also place the items that you do have in your inventory if you do not have all of the required ones. So to give you an example, if I go back here to my building menu, and let's say I'm going to place the tier 2 of the floors. So say I'm going to go ahead and place the tier 2 floor here. You can see I've got 4 out of the 2 different materials that are required. I can go ahead and press E on them, and it will go ahead and take those items from my inventory, place them into this hologrammed blueprint build. But it will obviously not build it because I still need those 2 remaining resources. But again, it's just a really cool quality of life feature here that allows you to put in the materials that you do currently have, and then it'll basically sit there and wait until you do have the remaining materials to continue building it out. Additionally, it's important to note that in RuneScape Dragonwilds, there's also a structure support system. So if we go ahead and place this large support beam, for instance, and we go ahead and place it on the next one all the way up, right, we can see the individual snap points that we have available. But if we go ahead and place it, the higher that we place the item, the less support that that item will have. So eventually, as we place more and more items, for instance, if we go ahead and place a flat floor, for instance, we can see that now this item, which used to be green, is now yellow, right? Eventually, that item will turn red. As you can see here, it is currently unstable, and it will not allow you to place that item any further without providing additional support. And I'm moving on to another really awesome quality of life feature that they've added in the game. Brings us to the skills. As you level up from doing different activities in the game, one of them is called the construction tab. Now, for obviously building things, as it says here, build new structures to level this skill, you will unlock additional abilities to use. And at level 11, really early on in the game, you unlock the ability of the Eye of Oculus. What makes this a very handy skill is that, let's say you want to place something higher than your reach can go, right? So in other games like Ark Survival Ascended, you might have to do the little jump to place and time your jump exactly right in order to place that specific item in that location. In Conan Exiles, you might have to climb up a wall, and hopefully you got enough stamina in order to place the item where you want, you name it. Well, this game does a really good job of fixing all of that. What you can do is you can actually press and hold the skills button on the screen, which essentially is Q. It will then open up this menu here to allow you to use whatever skills you have on your wheel. Down at the bottom, I've got Eye of Oculus. It is going to cost you 3 of the runes. You go ahead and use it, and your character will actually sit in place. And what will now happen is it will give you the ability to actually select a building item. So let's say we want to place this vertical thick beam for whatever reason. We can go ahead and now, as you can see, have a free movement character. You can see that we can move all the way around. There is a radius, right? So you can only go so far away from your individual character, but it does allow you to actually place and build wherever you want. We can essentially keep on placing here. There you go. That's another example of the structure. You can see we can't place this third one because it's too high. We went from green to yellow, now to red. But yeah, you can essentially build whatever you want, wherever you want, and you don't have to, be bound to wherever your character's position actually is. And on top of freely placing the items, you can also use the Oculus to go around, and it will actually collect the items that your inventory can hold. And on top of that, you can also go through objects. So that includes the individual foundation. You can go through crafting benches. You can literally go through everything while you are inside of this, Oculus skill. So again, really, really nice quality of life feature here that they've added in the game, and it definitely will take your builds to the next level. Now, next up, I have some additional building tips I would like to mention in this video that I think really do come in handy when you're playing throughout the game. The first one, let's say you're on an adventure and you need to sleep. Either you are exhausted in game, or maybe it's nighttime and you want to skip the night and you want to go directly to daytime. Well, you don't want to have to run all the way back to your base in order to do so. What you can actually do is you can actually open up your building menu, and one quick, easy, dirty way to do this is actually place a single foundation, and then you can go ahead and place a couple of walls. Again, we're not looking to build anything fancy here. We're just looking to place a couple of walls, and then we also need a roof. So if we go ahead and place one individual roof item, and then you can actually place a bed. So going ahead and placing a bed right here into the corner will actually allow you to go ahead and rest by just utilizing the one foundation, the two walls, and then the actual roof. It doesn't have to be connected. It does not have to be a full closed shed. By just placing it exactly as you see here on screen, it will allow you to rest anywhere and everywhere you are without having to farm a bunch of resources or build a bunch of stuff, because you're more than likely just going to delete it right away as soon as you get done building it, because you want to continue on your adventure. And now the next tip brings us to the dragon's poison radius. It'll just randomly come in and find you wherever you are in the world and start dropping these big poison radius around you. Well, if you happen to be inside of your base or think that a base location is going to be safe, well, that's not true here. It seems to be, at least at the current state of the game as of right now in its early access state, approximately a week after its initial release, the poison radius can still affect you inside of your base. So it's a lot easier to avoid these poison circles by getting outside of your base and running around. I wouldn't try to build specific structures or different layers of different structures, or even in different areas like a cave, for instance, because it does not seem to be, safe whatsoever from these poison radius. And the same thing goes for the warband raids. What a lot of people don't know is that if you're actually inside of your base, the enemies will attack your base. They will walk up to your building, they will destroy the foundations, the doors, the walls, the crafting benches, even your bed, which there goes your respawn point, you name it. They will destroy all of that stuff because their ultimate goal and objective is to get to you as fast as they can to kill you. So a really big tip is once a warband starts, run outside, get outside of your base. They will not just randomly start attacking your base for no reason. So get outside of your base, run around outside, fight them on, take them off, lead them one by one, whatever you gotta do in order to prevent them from doing damage to your base build. As long as you're not inside of the base, they seem to do a really good job of leaving it alone and not affecting it whatsoever. If you love building in RuneScape Dragonwilds and you found this guide helpful, you've got to check out the 10 tips that I wish I knew sooner video that you see here on screen. As always, don't forget to like the video, drop a comment down below if you have any additional building tips here to add onto the video for people to check out, and don't forget to subscribe here on the channel for more guides for RuneScape Dragonwilds.